got my pointy-eared helpers today. Do you feel like you give your command so many times for your dog and you just want them to listen to the very first command? Today we're going to be talking about the importance of say what you mean and mean what you say while introducing a sit at crosswalks. Thank you again for joining for today. My name is Kristen from Salty Pack. All right, so for today as day 22, we're going to be working on auto sits at crosswalks. Now, just out of full transparency, I actually don't care if your dog sits at crosswalks. Some people are like bragging to me as they're doing that. I really don't care. I just want your dog to stop. It could be a stand, could be a sit, could be a drop for all I care. I want them to be engaged with you. The most important lesson from today is going to be give your command once and follow through. So in just a moment with Olive, you'll see that we make sure that she understands what a sit actually means. So you'd be surprised that some dogs don't actually know what a sit means. They know what a sit, Fido sit, and then maybe a hand signal sit, but they don't know what sit means. So today we're going to be saying our command once and following up with it. This is going to help out your relationship, again, by saying what you mean and meaning what you say to your dog. So again, giving the dogs the benefit of the doubt, making sure that they understand what the sit means first, then we can start to introduce it at different crosswalks. This is a pretty easy one. Most people are probably already doing some form of this, that when they come to a crosswalk, they kind of get their dog to stop with them, and then they have them sit. How it's going to look from like a 360-degree view from, zooming out so that you can zoom in for today is over time, your dog's just gonna go, oh, every time that my mom stops, I just sit down next to her. Could be dad as well too. So using pressure like we use with Olive here today is an easy way for you guys to still give the picture of you standing up, but also making sure that they follow up with that. So we like a little bit of guiding pressure to be able to be followed along with for all of our dogs. Definitely hand signals and food lures are all wonderful, but that does include us doing quite a lot of effort. Again, I just want my dog to sit if I ask them to sit, right? So in just a moment when you start to go out with your dog, make sure they know the sit command. You'd be surprised how many people actually, their dogs actually don't know sit. They know the sit, Fido sit with the hand signal, right? So make sure that your dog knows sit. If not, make sure that they understand that collar pressure up and backwards and that little bum tap down that you'll see in a second with Olive as well too. What that then translates to is so that if you are next to them on the left-hand side and you ask for the sit and maybe there's a competing motivator around, you go, oh, I'm so sorry. I've asked you to sit. You can give that little bit of pressure up and backwards on the leash rather than having to come all the way down or getting your treats out and then luring them down into the sit. It's just going to be a little bit of the pressure up and backwards on that leash so that you can still give that presentation of you standing up nice and straight. And I said sit and I meant sit. So just make sure. If we're saying sit, make sure to follow up with that sit command. So that's all that today is. You can definitely try this just out in the backyard if you would like to, just in a low distraction environment. That's where I would start with first. Make sure that your dog knows sit. Then you can take it out into the street. You can just go even into your front yard, see if your dog knows sit. If not, make sure that they understand that pressure up and backwards is how they get into the sit position. So trying to generalize it in different spots. You can even pop them in the car, take them down to the park, get them out for a little, sniffy sniff to start with, and then ask them for a sit. And again, you'd be surprised how few dogs will sit on the first command. Start to introduce this on your next few walks as well too. So it's probably something that a lot of people have already been doing for a little bit, but just increasing the importance of it, that when you go to a crosswalk, either you're having your dog just stop next to you, or if you would like them to sit, just ask them for the sit and just follow up. So mostly important point for today. Say what you mean what you say. We're working on a sit which most dogs are pretty comfortable with to start with. And for most of us people as well too, the handling is nice and easy. But again, making sure that we follow up with our commands that we're giving. So as always, you can grab your phone for some filming just to make sure that everything goes according to plan. Make sure you've got your hungry dog with either their dinner or their breakfast not in their stomach, in your treat pouch, or in your front pocket, and make sure that you bring a good attitude and have some fun with your dog. All right, so we have Olive here. She's a American Staffy, and she's going to be kind of my demo dog for working through a little bit of the sit. She's already doing far too well. So a lot of people prefer their dogs to sit at the crosswalk every time that they cross the street. Totally fine. I just prefer my dog just to be with me, and if I stop, I just want him to stop. But I know and understand that a lot of people feel a little bit better if they stop and the dog sits. That's a nice controlled position that they know that the dog is sort of like in tune with them. My problem with it is when people are asking their dog to sit like 5 or 6 times. So this kind of has a bit of a relationship correlation with everything that we do for leash walking. Nice job, sweetie, just have a little break. That when I ask my dog to do something, I need to mean what I say and say what I mean. So when I ask for a sit, I just want everybody to start to practice asking for it once and then following through with it. Easy to do on leash because they're not going anywhere else, and I can ask them to sit and then follow up. But I kind of need a plan B to make sure that they are going to go into the sit position. So with the leash on, a lot of people will do like a little bit of a bum pressure, like kind of a tap down. Some people might do like a hand signal for a sit. Whatever it is, it needs to be something that the dog responds to every time, so that we're not saying sit like 6 or 7 times. It just needs to be once and then follow through. My preferred method is because I want to give the picture of me standing up and being able to say sit and not really needing to do too much with my body and having the dog understand my verbal signal. I'm going to use a little bit of pressure on that collar, but before I actually go out and do it, at any crosswalks with Olive, I need to make sure that that plan B does sort of exist for us. Olive, let's go. So I'm just going to get her a little bit more reset. We're going to come through this way. So if you've never done this before and your dog's never felt that pressure up, what you can do is just do a little bit of like a collar grab here and give the verbal signal sit, and then give your pressure up and backwards. Sit. Good. Nice job, sweetie. Let's go. Notice how I'm not giving any rewards while she's in that sit position, because I also don't want her getting out of the sit. That's a whole different thing that we'll work on for the sit stay in a different video, but just for right now, let's go, sweetie. Good girl. Just for right now, I just wanted to make sure that she understood what that collar pressure meant. Now, Olive's a dog that we've been working with for quite a long time. I knew that she was going to respond to that one. So if I don't give any cues for it, you're going to be too onto it, sweetie. Good. And I give some pressure up and backwards. Good. Nice work, my girl. Yes. Super. Before giving the sit command, I did put a little bit of pressure up and backwards just to make sure that she can follow through with that. So for me, in a low distraction environment with not too much going around, I know that Olive has that plan B. So what might happen if it's a little bit more high distraction when we're crossing the crosswalk and I need her to sit, it might need to be a little bit more of that pressure, because right now she can kind of hear my whisper, if you will, with that the pressure on the collar. It might just need to be that little bit more, or it might need to be held on for a little bit more. If I need to as well, my plan C is I can put that pressure up and backwards on the leash, which she'll feel through her collar, and just a little bit of pressure down on that bum, which she's probably felt before as well too. So this is all about say what you mean and mean what you say. It's the same thing for if your dog is sniffing a bush or something and you're saying let's go and they're like, nah, give me a second. I really don't want to give my dog too many commands, but if I say something, I must follow through with that. Sit is a really easy one that we can start to do, which is going to help to build our relationship and communication of like, hey man, I don't ask you for very much, but when I do, I just need you to do it, right? Like sometimes it is what it is. And so doing that on leash, particularly when you're out on a walk in a little bit more distracting environments as well too, is going to be a nice relationship developer for you and your dog, going like, it's not that bad. Like most of the time I'll just give you a reward just for staying in that position anyways. So it's in your best interest. You were too good. You're too good of a demo dog. All right, let's go, sweetie. Let's go. All right, so let's see if we can put this into practice now. Sit. Good. Nice job, Olive. Let's go. Nice. We'll do it again on the other side of the crosswalk. So if I stop, sit. Good. Nice work, Olive. Let's go. And eventually what's going to happen is every time that I stop and I ask her to sit, she's eventually just going to go into the sit position. Now remember, just as a little bit of a clarity piece, that if she didn't, it's just that little bit of pressure up and backwards on that collar until she folds into the sit, and then that pressure turns off. You might have not been able to see that with the bush. Let's go. see if we can do that again. So I want dogs to be able to follow along with a food lure, with pressure and everything else, because that does directly relate to a little bit of how they understand the pressure when we're going out for a walk as well too. So the pressure, I'm not going to give her this, that she knows it too well. Pressure comes up and backwards, just that little bit on the collar. If I need to, I can put a little bit of pressure on her bum. She's trying to figure it out. And then the pressure turns off. Good job, sweetie. Let's go. Notice how, again, I'm not giving her any food at the moment. Once she really understands the sit stay, I could then take the pressure off and reward her in position. But for a lot of dogs, when they're first kind of figuring out that pressure, if I gave her a piece of food, she might then break out of the position. It's not a massive deal or anything at the moment, but it is just little things of nuance of later on down the track when we work on that sit stay, you'll understand that when I ask for a sit, it's a sit and a wait further instruction. That's all it means. So if they have a little bit of practice kind of getting out of the position before I allow, like say, all right, now it's time to get out of the position, that has a little bit of a flow on effect. So trust me in the process. But that's a nice way for her to respond to us being able to stand up straight. Again, she knows the sit very well, so it might not be as applicable for Olive, but it might be applicable for you and your dog if we have maybe a little bit more distractions around. They're like, I hear you, but like, I don't need to do that right now. Remember, give your command once, then follow up with whatever sort of plan B that you've got. I prefer the pressure up and backwards on the collar because it gives the presentation of us standing up rather than this hand signal or a little bit of pressure on that bum. Good job, sweetie. Let's go. Thanks for watching the video today and being part of our loose leash walking challenge. If you or your dog found anything particularly difficult about today, leave us a comment and we can even break down a little bit more of those skills even further if you need.